Hey everyone, welcome back to class. This week we're talking about who and what should we believe. And more specifically, because that title's a little vague, what we're going to talk about are theories, especially conspiracy theories, and when and what theories we should believe. When should we believe a theory? What justifies belief in a theory? How do we compare one theory to another? And then we're going to talk about who we should believe. And we're specifically going to talk about epistemic injustice, which is when we don't believe people that we ought to believe. And that has negative consequences both for others and for ourselves. So that's what we're going to talk about. Uh, so we've already talked about knowledge versus belief and what it means to know something. We looked at Gettier cases and the justified true belief account of what knowledge is. And we've looked at arguments. We looked at what an argument is, what it means for an argument to be valid or sound or persuasive, and that's an important source of justification for beliefs. An argument provides justification. A good argument provides good justification for a belief. And in some cases, an argument might provide knowledge, especially if the argument qualifies as a proof, which is something we will talk about later in this course. But this week, we're looking at other kinds of justification. So we're looking at what justifies a theory or an explanation. That's the conspiracy theory section. We're looking at what justifies belief in a theory. When is believing a theory or a conspiracy theory in particular justified? When is that a good, rational, reasonable belief to have? And we're going to look at what justifies belief or disbelief in someone else's testimony. And we're going to look at one specific set of factors that can cause unjustified disbelief. And we'll talk about that uh, later in this week's lectures. But first, before we move on to any of that stuff, I want to talk about the difference between belief and opinion. So we've talked about the difference between belief and knowledge and how knowledge is stronger than belief. But there are other sort of distinctions we can make. And the distinction between belief and opinion is an important one, and one that I want us to get clear on before we move on further in the course. So, belief versus opinion. What is the difference between belief and opinion? So we often use the phrase I think, or sometimes I believe, or in my view, or it, you know, it seems to me that, or something like that. But I'm just going to stick with I think because it's nice and simple and vague. So we often use the phrase I think, and we use it for lots of different kinds of things. We say, I think that broccoli tastes good. I think that sharks are technically mammals. If someone calls a shark a fish and you think sharks are mammals, you might say, I think sharks are technically mammals. You might say, I think the Beatles were better than the Rolling Stones. You might say, I think God exists. Someone else might say, I think God doesn't exist, or I don't think God exists, or I don't think God doesn't exist, or whatever. There are lots of ways we can talk about what we think and what we don't think. And these are all perfectly legitimate sentences. They all make perfect sense. And it often seems like we're saying the same thing when we say I think. When you say, I think God exists, I think that movie is actually pretty good, I think this song sucks, I think this song's great, I think owls exist. Those are all, they all seem like we're talking about the same thing sometimes. We're just saying what we think. But the phrase I think and similar phrases actually cover two different kinds of statements, two different kinds of attitudes towards a claim. You can have opinions and you can have beliefs. And opinions and beliefs are different. An opinion is subjective, meaning it's a matter of the subject, you, uh, having it. In some sense, it's up to you what your opinions are. Uh, an opinion is just a matter of personal preference or your personal perspective or your personal taste. An opinion is just really how you feel about something, whether or not you like something, whether or not you dislike something, whether or not something seems fun to you, whether you find something funny. These are matters of personal preference and personal taste. And taste is subjective. If you like broccoli and your friend doesn't like broccoli, that's a difference of taste. Whereas a belief is objective. I mean, it's about objects, it's about objective reality. It's about the world that exists outside of you and your personal preferences and your personal mind. It's about reality itself. It's about objective reality, and about what the world is actually like. And I don't mean the world like in a broad, a belief has to be about the universe as a whole. If you believe that it's currently raining in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that's a belief about what the world is like. It's a belief that this particular part of the world is undergoing rain at the moment. If you think there's a table in the next room, that's a belief about what the world is like. This particular object exists in this particular location in the world. And so beliefs are objective and are independent of how you personally feel about things. You may hate the fact that it's raining, but still believe that it's raining. You may like the fact that it's raining. You might wish it wasn't raining. But if you believe that it's raining, then your personal feelings about the rain, your opinion of the rain, doesn't come into play. Your personal tastes don't factor into this when we're talking about beliefs. So when you state your opinion about something, you're just stating your preference or your feelings about it. You're not making any claim about what the world is like. You're not making any claims about what exists or what doesn't exist. You're stating your preference, your taste, your feelings. So when you say, I think that broccoli tastes good, you mean broccoli tastes good to you. You mean that you like the taste of broccoli. But if someone else doesn't like the taste of broccoli, they aren't getting anything factually incorrect about the world. They just have a different taste than you have, different preference. If you say, I think the Beatles were better than the Rolling Stones, that's a personal preference. You like one group's music better than you like another group's music. If someone else, say a member of the Rolling Stones, likes the Rolling Stones music better than the Beatles, that's their personal taste. That's their personal preference. And there's nothing factually incorrect. There's not some fact out in the world that you're failing to take account of if you think one band's better than another. That's just you like their music better. The music sounds better to you. And so that's your personal taste. There's no fact about which you are empirically wrong. You're not getting some fact incorrect about the world. It's just your personal taste. And so opinions are not true or false. It might be true or false that you have a certain opinion, but the opinion itself isn't true or false. Thinking that broccoli tastes good isn't right or wrong. It's just your personal taste. It's just a fact about what you like. So opinions aren't true or false. You can't get an opinion wrong. So if you think broccoli tastes good and your friend thinks broccoli tastes bad, neither of you is correct or incorrect. Neither of you is mistaken about the taste of broccoli. One of you likes it and one of you doesn't, and that's all there is to it. So if you're arguing over it, you should probably stop because neither of you is wrong. Neither of you is right. You just have different preferences. You like different things, and that's okay. You just have a difference of opinion. You just have different tastes. There's no fact that one of you is right about and one of you is wrong about when you say you like broccoli or don't like broccoli. But when you say your belief about something, you're making a claim about what the world is like. You're claiming that this is a fact, and you're either correct or incorrect about that. Either the claim you're making is true or the claim you're making is false. Either it really is a fact or it's not really a fact. So beliefs are actual claims about what the world is like, independent of your personal tastes and preferences. So when, for example, when you say, I think that sharks are technically mammals, you're claiming that sharks are mammals, that this certain kind of animal falls in this certain category. And that's not a matter of personal preference. That's not a matter of personal taste. That's not a matter of what you like or dislike. That's just a claim about the way the world is. I'm pretty sure it's false. Sharks are not mammals. So some beliefs are true and some beliefs are false. Sometimes the claim you're making is true, and sometimes the claim you're making is false. Another belief is, I think God exists. When you say that, you're saying, I believe that this entity that we can describe exists. When you say, I think God doesn't exist, you're saying, I believe this entity that we can describe is not real. It does not exist. It is not out there in the world in any way. And so disagreements about whether or not God exists are not just a difference of opinion, they're differences of belief. If one person says, I think God exists, and one person says, I think God doesn't exist, then they have beliefs about what the world is like, about what exists in the world. And one of them is right and one of them is wrong. One of them has a true belief and one of them has a false belief. Which is which? I'm not here to, adjudicate that issue. But that is a matter of belief, not a matter of opinion. If you think that sharks are mammals and your friend thinks that sharks are not mammals, one of you has a true belief, one of you has a false belief, and you can't just sit there saying, oh, that's a difference of opinion, because it's not. It's a claim about what the world is like, and either that claim is true or that claim is false. So beliefs are true or false. They can be correct or incorrect. You can have a false belief and think the world is different than it actually is. You can have true beliefs and think that be right about what the world is like, have an accurate view of the world or some piece of it. And so beliefs are not subjective. They're not just matters of personal taste or personal preference. They are real claims about what the world is like. And so if you think sharks are mammals and your friend thinks they aren't, then one of you is correct and one of you is incorrect. There's no, well, different strokes for different folks. Both our beliefs are equal. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. No, that doesn't work here because it's not a difference of opinion. It's not a matter of personal preference or personal taste that isn't right or wrong. It is a claim about what the world is like, about what sharks are, and that claim is either correct or incorrect. It's either true or it's false. And so not all beliefs are equal. Some beliefs are true, some beliefs are false. Some beliefs are justified, and some beliefs are not justified. So one belief can be true and another belief can be false. And independent of whether they're true or false, we can look at whether they're justified or unjustified. But opinions can't be true or false, and arguably can't be justified or unjustified either. And since opinions can't be true or false, it's kind of pointless to argue over them. Different people have different tastes and different preferences. They like different things, and that's all there is to it. If you like one food and your friend doesn't, that's the end of that story. There's no way that you two can argue about it and one of you can convince the other that no, the taste really is good. You've just been tasting it wrong your whole life. Like, no, you just don't like that taste, and that's fine, and that's the end of that story. That's all there is to it. Liking one food or disliking one food isn't right or wrong. Liking a song or not liking a song isn't right or wrong. It's not true or false. It's just your preference and what you like. So arguing over opinions can be pretty pointless. But beliefs are different than opinions. Beliefs are true or false. And we want true beliefs. That's why we don't like being lied to. We don't like when people lie to us, because when people lie to us, they're trying to give us false beliefs and make us wrong about what the world is like. And we don't like that. We want true beliefs. We want to know what the world is like. We want to know what's actually happening, what's actually going on. We want true beliefs. And so arguing over beliefs can, at least sometimes, be worthwhile. It's not always worthwhile, but at least sometimes it can be worthwhile. Because if our belief is false, we should want to know about it so that we can change our belief. And so then we can have the true beliefs that we want to have. If you find out that your belief is false, that's good. I mean, it's not great that your belief was false this whole time, but it's good that now you can give up your false belief. Finding out a belief is false is way better than having a false belief and never finding out and just being wrong your whole life. You want to know that your beliefs are false. And so arguing over beliefs can be a way to find out that your belief is false, or to find out what the arguments against your belief are so you can make a more informed judgment later, or to help someone else give up a false belief that's maybe causing problems in their life, causing them to make bad decisions based on this false belief. And you can help them if you can convince them the belief is false. You can help them give up the false belief and have a true belief so that they can then make decisions based on that true belief that will be better informed and maybe work out better for them. And I want to make a point here. It is sometimes hard to know whether something is a matter of opinion or a matter of belief. It's not always totally clear cut. Later in this course, we'll look at metaethics, which is a branch of ethics that deals with basically what moral facts are and whether or not there are moral facts. And we'll see some arguments that say morality is a matter of opinion, whether or not it's okay to steal to feed your family, whether or not it's okay to, have the death penalty, whether or not you ought to donate to charity, or whether or not it's okay not to. That's all a matter of opinion, that there's no objective fact there. But we'll also look at arguments that say, no, morality is a matter of belief. There is a fact there. Either murder really is wrong or murder really is fine. It's not a matter of opinion. You don't get to say, I like murder, I don't like murder. There is a real fact of the world that you can be right or wrong about, that your belief can be true or false. And we'll look at arguments for both sides of that. And so there are people who made those arguments who think morality is a matter of opinion, and there are people who think morality is a matter of belief. And that is a philosophical debate that's still going on now. But importantly, the question of whether or not morality is a matter of opinion can't itself be a matter of opinion, because that's a claim about the world. That's not just about personal taste or personal preference. So you can't say, like, in my opinion, morality is a matter of opinion. That doesn't work, because either something is a matter of opinion and it's just personal preference, or it's a matter of belief and there's a real fact in the world that we can be right or wrong about. And which of those it is has to be a real fact of the world. Either there's a real fact that this is a matter of opinion, or there's a real fact that this is a matter of belief. That question has to be a matter of belief. So we can't say, in my opinion, morality is all a matter of opinion. That just doesn't work. But we'll worry about that later when we get to metaethics. But I just want to make the point here now that what counts as a matter of belief and what counts as a matter of opinion can sometimes be unclear and up to debate. But oftentimes it'll be pretty clear. Liking food or music should be sort of pretty clearly a matter of personal preference. Whether or not owls exist and whether or not it's currently raining should pretty clearly be a matter of belief. And so it's important to keep the difference between belief and opinion in mind. Even if it's not clear in all cases, it should be clear in some cases. And how we treat beliefs and opinions is different and should be different. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You can have whatever tastes or preferences you want. You can like the taste of whatever food you like the taste of. You can enjoy whatever music you enjoy. If you love Brussels sprouts and death metal, good for you. If you hate Brussels sprouts and hate death metal, also good for you. That's fine. It's just what you like. There's nothing you can be right or wrong about here. So everyone is entitled to their own opinion because no opinion can be wrong. But everyone is not entitled to their own beliefs. You can't just make up whatever facts you want to believe or what would be nice to believe and keep believing them just because you like the sound of them or because you want to or because it makes you feel better for some reason. You can't just keep believing things without any evidence or justification whatsoever. You're not entitled to whatever beliefs you want to have. You need evidence and justification for your beliefs because they are real claims about the world. And without evidence and justification, you're way more likely to be wrong and have false beliefs And if you make your decisions based on those false beliefs, you will end up harming yourself and others. You will end up causing problems. And so we need evidence and justification for our beliefs. We don't need evidence or justification for our opinions. If someone demands that you explain and defend your opinion, you can tell them to get out of here. If someone demands you explain and defend your belief, you probably ought to explain and defend that belief. Because if you can't, that's a sign that maybe you don't have the justification you thought you had. So we need to put in some effort to make sure that our beliefs have evidence and justifications to support them. We want our beliefs to be backed up by something good like evidence or some good solid argument. Otherwise, we're being irresponsible. We're being epistemically irresponsible. And this will cause problems for others and for ourselves. And we want to avoid that. We want to be epistemically responsible people who have good evidence for their beliefs, who have good justification for their beliefs, so that they can provide reliable information to other people and can make decisions based on reliable information, based on the truth about what the world is like and what effects these decisions will have. So we need to put an effort into making sure our beliefs have evidence and justifications to support them. And that is what we're going to talk about in the next two videos. In the next video, we'll talk about conspiracy theories and when it's justified to believe a theory, and in particular, conspiracy theory. And then we'll talk about epistemic injustice and how implicit biases can influence our beliefs and what sources of information we trust and cause problems for ourselves and others. So I'm going to stop this video here and we will pick it up in the next video talking about conspiracy theories.